Hey everyone, and welcome to Grenades and Horseshoes, where we strive to bring good times, good feels, and general shenanigans every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Giggles.
Hi, everyone.
Hello. Welcome to Grenades and Horseshoes, episode 14. Thanks, everybody, for stopping in Twitch chat there. We appreciate that. I am Mark Square, as I am every week. Hope to stay that way. This is Yuna.
Hi.
And Grey Ghost 2E.
Good evening, everybody.
Thanks for stopping in and checking us out here on Grenades and Horseshoes. We have a big announcement this week. We are getting our own Twitch channel. So we will be at twitch.tv/grenades and horseshoes spelled out. If you can spell horseshoes correctly, which I can't all the time, you could find us on Twitch. So, and I have my personal channel, Mark Square, twitch.tv/Mark Square. Will be hosting it on there or doing it on there, hosting it through the Grenades and Horseshoes channel after this week. We really appreciate Planet Destiny hosting us for all this time. We appreciate the good work they do for the Destiny community too, with all the gun reviews and tips and tricks that you can find on their website. So planetdestiny.net, check that out. And so we're looking forward to it. Looking forward to interacting with you guys in the community even more. You might be wondering where my glasses are, but I took them off because when I put them on, I get like laser eye beams. It looks super weird. Like, woo! Yeah. Anyway, welcome. Episode 14. How was your guys' week in Destiny?
Pretty good, actually. What did I do last week? I did a lot of Halloween stuff, which means I wasn't playing Destiny. I feel like a broken record now. My week in Destiny, I didn't really play a whole lot.
No, you did. Me and you and Dan.
On Sunday night.
Yeah.
That was so much fun. It's always fun playing with Dan. He's a riot. Yeah. And then the two you get together and
one-upmanship begins.
Yes.
And we're referring to Dan Finitwitch on Twitter. You can check him out, or Dan Finity. He does a lot of streams on Twitch. Really funny guy. And he does Side Quest Sundays, which is Sunday morning, and we get together and do some fun stuff. And then Side Quest Sunday night.
After dark.
Yeah.
Ooh, Sunday night after dark.
Yeah. So
what was the challenge this Sunday night?
Well, we were trying to do the Prestige. You and I have not done the Prestige yet. Honestly,
I still haven't done the Prestige.
She still hasn't. I'd like to blame beer.
I'm not in a rush.
So this week too, as brought out by BFF Panda. Great name in the chat. We should talk Osiris too. We saw some great, even if we weren't sitting at our controllers, we had some great times in Destiny just watching that sweet trailer. We'll talk about that and show that here. Super excited about that as well. So yeah. So I enjoyed trying the Prestige. I've done it a couple times now. It's pretty clear I was being backpacked at this point.
Well, I was pretty low too, because I did not have the best loadout, and I was just pushing 298 with a suboptimal loadout on PS4.
Yeah, if you're using a grenade launcher, you just have a dead slot.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
the nightfall prior to reset, there was certain subclasses really that dominated. So if you had a Striker Titan with double pulse grenades, with how fast the recharge was, and the fact that a pulse grenade lasts approximately 14 minutes every time one is thrown, you definitely are going to dominate in the kill count. And Mark, you and I and Napoleon, we ran it this week or prior to reset, and that was kind of the case. You're maining a hunter, and I found, because I ran it again with my wife, Hefty Flounder, and our friend Legacy, and I was on my hunter for that one, and it's hard to get the kill count up there compared to that Striker Titan.
This is how many Striker Titans we had on our run. We had 2 hunters, 1 warlock, so we had 1 lead weight at least. I mean, you got to count the warlock, and that is just a lead weight, right? I just said that to be inflammatory.
Yes, you did.
Hands down, though, Titan is amazing when that modifier is up where you can throw lots of grenades and that pulse grenade. Last week I said that the void grenade that the Night Stalker has is just as good, and that is not true. It's
Yeah.
so not. Yeah, this is why you don't come to me for real information. That is not true at all. Like that pulse grenade on the Titan is so good. Doesn't need a nerf.
Yeah, I think it's gonna get one if whether we like it or not.
Yeah, just
But
a
if
little
you're
bit. Yeah.
if you're playing this game, right, and you're feeling like you want to do harder content, but you feel a little squishy, you're dying a lot. I just noticed just a striking difference between playing on my Titan on PlayStation versus my Hunter on Xbox. I survive more with my Titan. I have a higher kill count with my Titan. It's just the stronger class right now.
I know, it's so sad.
Well, I do know that I can't survive on a Warlock. I've tried that at all. I mean, I wasn't running the Devour class, which was a mistake on my part, but the movement and everything, I die all the time because I'm expecting Hunter movement, and I'm playing like I would on a Hunter, which is a mistake. But yeah, I just die all the time. I can't stay alive. And then the Titan class, though, apparently, I tried that in beta and I loved it. This is the thing, though. I thought I was going to do fine on a Warlock until I hit the slot. Like, we got to our first Nightfall, like at 270 something, trying to do the Nightfall, like week 1, and I got real nervous. I was like, oh my god, guys, like this is bad. Like if the raid is at all challenging, I'm actually not going to help. And it turned out we got to the boss in the raid when I just had a Warlock, and it was that way. Like I was a liability on the final encounter because staying outside, I couldn't stay alive. Going inside, I guess I eventually went inside, and that's how it worked out.
Yeah.
But
Well,
but
and
man,
they're
it's
a
rough.
support class right now, right? I mean, there's certain
Yeah.
times that having that rift that gives you a damage buff is extremely valuable, especially because I think this is confirmed. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, but the tether from the Night Stalker hunters does not increase your damage on bosses.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
I know, and
So there's very few things that are going to increase your DPS against bosses, and that Warlock Rift is very valuable as a support
Yep.
class. I think it is
Yeah.
well placed. It has its place for somebody that enjoys playing that kind of a game. But just knowing you, Mark, and your game style, that's not how you like to play the game.
That's not how I play it. And even on the Titan, I think it would be the same thing. I think I would die all the time. I just can't play anything but a Hunter because of the way that I play, and I prefer Night Stalker. Pig Slayer in chat clearly does as well. 23k kills on a Night Stalker. Yeah, so that's my.
Yeah.
I'd like to see how mine stacks up to that. It doesn't stack up, but that's incredible. But I just have the most fun when playing a Night Stalker, even in PvP. Just having the smoke grenade and all that stuff. Great
Sure.
stuff. So I just that's how I play. So I'm not trying to knock people that play in a style that does make Warlock be their primary class. I played with a little bit with Callie. Let's see, what is her Twitter? OMG LOL. Wow, or something like that. Wow, OMG LOL. Anyway, a combination of those three, and we were having that conversation. She mains a Warlock, and the way that she plays is the way that favors the Warlock, and she can survive like crazy good, and it just feels uncomfortable on other classes. So, and then some people out there. I was playing with Pope the other day, like just Titan all the way down the line. Feels the most comfortable, plays the best on that. So everybody just has everyone has their spirit animal when it comes to their class, which I think is great. I think that means Destiny 2 is a success as far as game design from Destiny 1, because I feel like most people, for the most part, stayed the course. People who felt the most comfortable on a Warlock still do. Hunters still do. Titans still do, for the most
Well,
part.
and that's where I find myself as the exception, because I'm a convert. I played Hunter for all of Destiny 1. I've really enjoyed playing the class, but more than anything, I enjoy that when I go into co-op content, like the raid or a Nightfall, something that's a little bit more intense, I can contribute significantly more to the team as a Titan than I have been able to with a Hunter. And I don't feel like that was the case in Destiny 1. I didn't feel that way. I could contribute more or just as much with my hunter compared to the other classes. But right now, I mean, the first thing I want to do as I get back into it on Xbox, because I've been playing on PlayStation a lot more lately, is get my Titan up to light level and start meaning that. I feel a little bad because, you know, there's something inside me after 1,000 hours as a hunter that, you know, this is my class, this is my identity.
Right.
But it's shifting as I'm able to execute things in the game that I want to be able to execute with that class. So I can do more. It makes me happy.
Well, when the D2 beta came around, I thought I was going to switch. Remember that? You know what stopped me? Do you know what stopped me? Was when I started a Warlock and I played it and realized, oh, wait, when the going gets tough, the Mark dies. Basically, I know that's not how it ends.
The Mark dies when he's not invisible.
Yeah, when he's not invisible. Well, I like to put myself in bad situations and then get myself out. That's like my favorite thing in the game. Like, oh, I should die here. Let's see if I can pull that out of the fire. So when I used that Warlock and realized, oh my God, I'm worthless in high level content, I thought to myself, well, in the beta, I actually did not play any high level content PvE wise. I mean, I just didn't. It wasn't in the beta. So I thought, well, that's probably going to happen with that too. And then when I leveled up my Night Stalker, and it was like, this feels like old times. And this, in fact, even more so now with the different skill trees, with the one where you can dodge and go invisible rather than throwing down smoke, it just feels perfect to me. Pig Slayer in the chat brings out that Night Stalker is amazing with Orpheus rig and cluster rocket launchers. I would not know. Yuna would on Xbox, but she would not know
not
on
on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
You know, as I think back to, like, I choose the loadout, I choose the subclass for my role in a specific activity. I'm actually pretty analytical when it comes to my choice of how I'm going to engage in a counter, what's going to be my responsibility. And thinking to my responsibility right now, right? You go in and you have to kill the war beasts. And I know that if we get to 36 stacks on my Titan, I can throw 2 pulse grenades and I can walk away from my beast and go help somebody else because it's going to die. And there's no other class that I can do that with. And but then if I take that, you know, back and think of, well, why wasn't I playing Titan in Destiny 1? You know, one of my roles in Destiny 1 was to be on a plate, the first plate, during the Oryx final encounter. In that raid, in the Kingsfall raid. And I would use my double smoke grenades to go invisible as a crutch, because as the relic runner grabs it, right, and the ship is coming in, you're getting just hammered by ads, by the ship, by a bunch of different things. Eventually, even Oryx starts firing at you, and having double longer acting invisibility, you could stay invisible during that whole part of the encounter. And for the longest time, that's the only way I could survive on a plate.
A lot of people use that exact encounter as for why they like a hunter, and it was the gauntlets. What are those? That give you the double smoke, and they're like silvery and
favorite.
Akam Hara Spine or something like that.
Well, it feels like that's the trip mine ones. Spine of Young Hum. Okay, you're right. Ahamkara's spine. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, but so this could change, right? Is what I'm saying. If as content changes and adapts, the other classes, hopefully, you know, we'll see that they have their place. I just haven't seen where my hunter has a unique skill set. Maybe those that are in the chat or those that are listening offline can send us, you know, some feedback to our email and let us know. So when you're playing as your warlock or you're playing as a hunter, what content are you engaging in that you know that this is the sweet spot for this subclass, this loadout, this exotic, that I can pull off something in an encounter in a role that nobody else can do.
Well, go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, I have to agree. I mean, I got my Warlock up, and I've completed the raid on the Warlock, and I gotta say, last night going in, I'm like, do I take my Hunter or my Warlock? I mean, because I enjoy the Warlock, not as much as my Hunter, but I did feel like I was, a better team player when I was on my Warlock that time I went through there.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, because you had, the Arc Buddy and all that stuff to add, you're saying? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think for me, at my skill level, sometimes I need to survive. I will say this, the one bit of content that did have me warlocking was the Vault of Glass, back when that was so difficult, and having that self-revive.
Self-res.
And even when it came back around, like the second time, or right before Destiny 2 came out, like what was that called? Age of Triumph. All the re-releases, I was more comfortable in Vault of Glass with a Warlock. Like if I was going to go in there and definitely try to help people through, I felt more comfortable on that just because of that mechanic. Let's see. Pigslayer in chat was saying he switched when Night Stalker came out. He switched over to Hunter, and I was Hunter already. When Hunter solidified for me, I'd played one since the beta. I played one at the beginning of Destiny 1, and I still did even when I had to use my Warlock out of shame. The rest of my Hunter friends made fun of me. When Crota came out, right, and you could use your Blade Dancer, and you could go invisible and all of that, like with the Blink Strike, and you could solo that first part of the Crota raid. That's really what did it for me. And then standing on the plates, being able to go invisible. But then when Night Stalker came out, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is just like the PvE level up that I was looking for in the Hunter class. So yeah, it was really, really.
Yeah,
really
credit to
excited
Z-Dog in the chat as well. He corrected us. We redact that. It's not the Ahamkara spine. It is the sealed grasps. Gives you the double invisibility. Which is why you came here, is to learn about Destiny 1 exotics.
Destiny 1 exotics. Wait, are these back? Sealed grasps? They're not back yet.
I don't know that we've seen that those
not.
are back. We did see that some exotics are coming back with the DLC. Not yet.
So do you guys remember a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, okay.
What?
A couple of weeks ago, and then?
A couple of weeks ago when I said there's no way that the Vexmouth class would come back. I may have to eat my words on that.
Oh, what is Yuna have to do if it comes back?
But it is, what do I have to do if it comes back?
I think you have to make a headband out of fruit roll-ups and wear it the whole episode and then eat it at the end. So it's like you eat your hat. Literally, eats her hat.
No.
I think we should all have to, though, because I was with you. Like, I was like, no way. Yeah, because that's an exotic tied to a raid. Man, though, this new thing. Okay, maybe we should get on to the rest of the show because there's tons of stuff I'm excited to talk about. The first one, though, and this is a great segment that Yuna has come up with for Yuna's Musings. What do we got this week?
So this week, what I wanted to do was put a focus on everyone's favorite audio clips. And I am, painfully aware that I consider myself not completing the game yet because I have all these, side quests and side missions that I haven't even touched yet. But I really wanted everyone to kind of pop up with their most kind of treasured audio that they've heard so far. Ones that you don't get tired of listening to if you play the same content again. So I will go first, I suppose. I'm going to play it off my computer. And I'm sure this is going to be quite the favorite of a bunch of people. And the first time I heard it, I was with you guys, and I just couldn't stop laughing. I lost it. It was amazing, and I still love it.
Me too.
So it's this little interaction with Cade 6.
Quick, hurry, come on. I don't know how long this portal's gonna stick. Cade, what have you... Stop. Look. Long story, and it may look like I don't know what I'm doing, but I do. Maybe not. Doesn't matter. Killing the power source at the origin point should break the loop and get me out of the portal system. Have you got that? Say you've got it. Say something. Fine, I'll say it. We got it, Cade. Now, how did you... Oh my cotton socks! Did you not hear what I just said?
Okay. that's so Bungie managed to do so much in that clip that made me so happy. Yes. Happy and sad. It was like we hear you, but we're gonna troll you anyways. As far as the fact that my guardian doesn't speak, which I wish it did. I'm on team speaking guardian, hardcore all the way. But so at least it was funny for them to acknowledge that and kind of poke fun at those of us that want our guardian to talk.
Yeah.
But oh my cotton socks. It's just so funny. It just sold so grandma.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so grandma, and like he doesn't even need to wear cotton socks because he's an exo. So for him, it's literally just a saying. Like he probably doesn't wear socks. He doesn't need socks. He's a machine.
Maybe he does, just for comfort reasons,
Comfort for what? his mechanical parts. If anything, it's going to get stuck in his gears.
That's true. He wears them just for style reasons. You know, he pokes out of the top of his boots a
Well,
little.
and his boots, well, then maybe he can wear just like faux socks that stick out at the top and like attach to the boots. He doesn't need them down in his little wonky gearies.
He wears pants. You know, he wears pants as an all accessory.
Well, we don't know what's under there.
That's very true. That's very true. I've seen some fan art that makes me kind of wonder about what.
You've seen some fan art. Why am I not surprised, Mark Square?
Fan art that I can't unsee.
Yeah, those links will not be in the show notes if you were wondering.
Oh no.
Deviant art at your own risk.
Oh man, exactly. Yeah, I do love that clip. So good.
Okay, so Gray, what do you have for us?
Okay, so my favorite audio clip is this guy.
The Hive haven't been on Earth in centuries. That wizard came from the moon.
Ah, that wizard came from the moon.
Yes.
Oh, yes. He says it so deadpan too. That wizard came from the moon.
Yeah. That actually did. So I was not a year one player, but did that clip get cut from Destiny 1? They did, right?
It did.
Yeah.
It was only in the beta.
Like, it came from the moon.
Yeah. So I was just trolling you
so
guys.
much
That's not
trolling,
actually my favorite Destiny 2 clip.
It's not even Destiny 2, but I do like that you played it.
Yes.
All right. This is actually my favorite Destiny 2 clip. It's just music.
We built our home under the protection of the Traveler. When our enemies attacked, we built a wall that stood for centuries. But now walls mean nothing. This enemy has taken our home, taken our light, and now they threaten our very existence.
It's a very
We're going
William
all
Wallace,
in
right?
on this.
Braveheartish.
Almighty. How long
Going
before
all
the fleet's
in.
combat ready?
Zavala, wait.
And he like
If we
slams
wait,
his
we
fist on
die.
the table.
But if we attack together, we can take back our home, our light, our hope. Or we die trying.
Trying.
Now, I need my fire team. I need Ikora and Cade.
And it's that part at the end that kind of gives me chills. You know, we watch it the first time that, you know, we exist in this world as a fire team and we go through these adventures as a fire team. Thinking about these characters and Cade, right, who reluctantly became part of the Vanguard. First and foremost, right, they have a responsibility to the Vanguard, but they are also a fire team. And I've never, up until this clip, right, I never really thought of them that way. And when they think about that they need to go and accomplish something, they do it as a team.
As a fire team, yeah.
Yeah. And
You're
this was the
screwed
first
if you're
time.
the enemy, and that's the fire team that comes up against you.
Well, maybe. We do see at the end of the story
Ikora
missions
gets
that they
double.
can't handle, you know, waves of Cabal, of Red Legion, right? They get decimated. Cade loses an arm and a leg or something. So, yeah,
I
that's
should've
a
picked
little
that
bit,
clip.
you know, I don't know that I necessarily agree that, you know, we can sit there and just take out every and any wave of ads just over and over and over again. But, you know, they struggle and end up pretty much getting
Makes them
just laid
more
to
real.
waste.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's both the audio, the way he says what he's saying here, the build up, but the expression too in the clip. If you go back and you look at that clip, like you can see that there's pain there, there's passion, but there's also this sense of, you know, with my fire team we can accomplish anything.
Right.
Which is a good thing. I mean, it makes me think about Destiny in general, that granted you can go into this game solo and you can complete a lot of content, but there's certain things in the game right now, like a Prestige Nightfall, that I have that same attitude. Like, I need my fire team so we can accomplish this. I have to get a different fire. No, I'm just kidding, Mark Square.
Oh, no.
No, we got it. We can do Precision Nightfalls. We can.
No, I was talking about this exact clip. I was helping Mystic Rose through the story. And when that came up, we were talking about, I referenced you guys. I won't do that again about you, Greg, because, you broke my heart. But I was kidding. I said, I really feel like that Yuna and Gray are my fire team. Like, we do all the story missions together. We play together all the time. And like when Zavala said that, I was like, he was coming to the realization, for one, that he can't do it himself. But then another, it made Zavala, Cade, and Ikora feel more real as characters. It made them more relatable, like, because we're one fire team within Destiny. There's, how many? You know what I mean? How many groups of 3 people that play together on the regular are there? Tons and tons of people. So all those people, I'm sure it really resonated with people that really play with the same group and the same people on a regular basis. So it was all the feels. I really liked that part of the game.
Yeah, it kind of shifted in my head. Like, it went from that they were coworkers, right, to where they, they're a fire team. They actually are more connected. But, from Destiny 1 and most of Destiny 2, my thought is they're in these positions of, the Vanguard. They're in the Vanguard. But now I view it more as, they're best friends that also get to, have this job together of leading the Vanguard. It was really cool. I think that was a very well done piece, and there's a good mix in the dialogue so far in the game of, like, what Yuna shared, of really comical dialogue out of Cade and funny things from Failsafe and different things. This was one of those that it just kind of left you with goosebumps, and it was more dramatic than, it wasn't, comedy. It was drama.
Yeah. I loved it. Yeah.
And it was just great. And then to follow up, I feel like that's kind of like the start of being able to understand that they have a deeper relationship. Like, for example, when we say, oh, we need to find Ikora, Cade knows exactly where she is.
Right.
Because he knows her in a way that, we didn't think that they would know each other. So.
Yeah.
The only way that you would know how well they know each other is if you looked at some of the fan art that Mark looks at.
I cannot confirm or deny any of that.
that is still not the trio you're looking for, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna sneak one in because it made me think of something when you not the trio. When you talked about how we found them and, like, Cade has his arm ripped off. One time I did actually stay there for a while just to see if anything else happened. And if you stay there and you stand near Cade, after about 3 or 4 minutes, he says, I really feel we had, like, a moment there, but that's kind of over now. So why don't you move on? Yeah, it was something to that effect. I did not say that verbatim, but I thought that was amazing, because if you just stand there and stare at him, he does eventually talk back to you and tell you to, like, haul ass.
Yeah, I kept, when I was helping Mystic, we stayed. Well, what was it? Yeah, we stayed there, and I was like, listen to what he says. And finally said it was great. Z-Dog in chat brings out, I had a feeling, if I had feelings, they would be hurt. Remember when Failsafe said that? It was so good.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good line, too.
I had feelings. They would be hurt.
That's perfect. That was a good one. Okay, so I'll play mine now. This is completely bizarre. Oh, no. Okay, here it goes. But this is an alternate beginning to one of the strikes.
I love that they do this, by the way.
I know, me too. And, it wasn't until maybe a week ago that this started showing up on Twitter, and people, it became a public, like, aware. People were aware that it was happening.
Mobilizing fire team for Operation Baby Dog. Why does this say Baby Dog? I must have forgotten to reboot the strike mode generator. Operation Baby Dog? Well, it has a certain ring to it, huh? Yes, Baby Dog. Well, the strike protocol is already running. Can't stop it now. Devlin? Yes, sorry. The fire team, Baby Dog, they're taken up looting the EDC. We need to determine the source of... I'm sorry, I can't. Stand by, fire team.
Operation Baby Dog.
Fire
Oh, the
team baby
puppies.
dog. So, it's funny you said I forgot to reboot the strike name generator. So clearly it was making the point that Zavala had typed baby dog into a the strike name generator, which is like, what? So it's funny because he is a Titan, right?
Mhm.
And remember the live action thing, like the Titan was like for the puppies and all that stuff.
Yes.
And so it's just kind of like this whole overarching joke that's running within the studio about Titans just being like these dog loving, simple guys, and then so it fed into that. And I died laughing when I heard that. Now, had you guys seen that? I think I linked you on it, didn't I? As soon as I saw that, the fire team baby dog.
Yeah, I hadn't heard it though. That's
Oh, yeah,
fantastic.
you had sent it to me earlier today. Yeah.
Yeah.
The fire team baby dog.
Yeah, and then my second choice was it's at the end of one of the strikes, and I think it's the what's the one that's the Nightfall this week? The oh man, the arms dealer, right? And at the end, they're talking about a rock, and he's like, Cade says, "You ever been hit by a rock? Don't joke about that." And then. And then he goes, I miss Eris at the end.
He says,
what
I miss Eris, yeah.
I miss Eris, because her rock and everything.
Yeah.
So that was
I
cool.
miss Eris too.
Off my
Yeah. Yeah. Because she was so dramatic and goth and hanging out at the bottom of the stairs there.
She had the best sneer.
Yeah, Z-Dog, that is real. That's actually real. That's one of the alternate beginnings it's the strike that takes place on the EDZ, and you basically fight a bunch of Taken through it. It's the PlayStation exclusive strike, and that is the alternate dialogue at the beginning. It doesn't happen very often. It's like kind of a rare dialogue for it. So the voice acting in it is so good too.
Yeah.
Like Deborah
Lance Reddick is so good too.
Yeah, both of them was just so perfect the way that they played that out. Great stuff. Great stuff.
Well, I'll round out this segment with a piece of Destiny news that came out today that I just saw. That Osiris's ghost has lines, which is amazing because I don't think we've ever heard another ghost talk. And it's voiced by Morena Baccarin, another Firefly person. I'm so excited.
Yeah, right.
I love her so much. She's so cool.
Yeah. She did great on that show.
Yes. So now we have 3 Firefly people on the cast list, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm excited for that. Yeah, are you serious? We've never heard anyone else's ghost talk. You're right.
Think about it. We haven't.
Does that mean that we're going to see cutscenes from the viewpoint of Osiris, perhaps?
I don't know that's. I mean, they can fact check us in the chat certainly, but isn't there that one Destiny 1 mission where you're kind of chasing after Cade's friend who owes him money, who ends up dying?
This is Ghost Talk?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
The Night Stalker.
I don't remember.
It might not. It might actually be him that's talking. I think he's the one actually talking.
I think.
But, yeah. I think it will be very cool to have another main character that's a ghost interacting.
I want a girl ghost voice.
You want to do your own?
I want a sassy friend.
I'm not sassy enough for you. What the hell? What do I got to do?
No, but you don't live in my pocket.
That would be awkward.
Yes, it would be.
Yeah.
I wear these sassy pants every day.
Okay, so that's what I have for a segment this week.
Awesome.
Oh, cat. Cat.
She pulls back the curtain, that cat.
Yeah, I put the dog in the crate. The cat sits behind me. Sorry, guys, I live in a menagerie.
So fabulous. All right, so our next segment is Gray's GGs. So what do you got going on this week, Gray, for that?
Yeah, so what I want to discuss this week is the Curse of Osiris, right? That's the biggest news that came out. We got our first trailer, so we're actually gonna share the first trailer here. We're gonna do a little voiceover on it as well. But if you haven't seen it, we're just gonna kind of talk through it. If you want to hear the audio on itself, go check out Bungie's YouTube. But it started off, and I'm like sitting there going, we're talking to Ikora, And obviously this is going to be very warlock heavy, so hopefully they'll get a little bit of a buff for you, Mark Square. And we're seeing lots of Vex. So we're going to, go back to some of our Destiny 1 initial content, which was so Vex heavy. Our first raid was a Vex raid. And then the character himself, Osiris, is back. What do you guys think of this guy?
Oh God, I love his look so much.
Awesome.
I want to wear something like that. I know that he's like a warlock, but I want that like helmet cloak contraption.
Yeah. And the slides he does, the way he moves like a hunter. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying. Jumping off heads and stuff. And using the Sunbreaker gauntlets.
Oh yeah. Okay.
What are they called now? They're not, are they called Sunbreakers still? Wow. Super cash. But yeah, man, does that look amazing, that trailer. Ooh. December 5th.
Yeah. I mean, in that last little triangular column there, does that remind you guys of anything?
Vault of Glass.
It definitely reminds me of, it's Vex-ish, Vault of Glass. Yeah.
It looks like the column in the entrance on Nessus, but in a different place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I kind of want to talk about, and I'm actually just going to set this up so that it kind of loops a little bit on the background as we discuss it. Okay. What does Bungie have to do with this DLC to satisfy the community? What things, if we had the option of actually making this what we would want it to be to make us happy, make the community happy, what things are you guys thinking Bungie should be putting in here that we're gonna come back and not have some of the same gripes about Destiny that we do right now?
I have a comment.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry. So I'm really eager to say this. What I would love to happen. Crap, man, can I? What do we know about this Curse of Osiris release? We know that from this, thing here, that it's not PvP. We're not looking at, a remake of Trials. We've already got that. This is PvE content. We would agree with that, right?
Yep. I would agree.
What I would love to see is 4-player PvE content. Even if there's not a raid, right? Even if there's no raid in this, I would love to see, something that 4 people could do as a PvE content. For me, that would be I think people in chat are calling for more worthwhile and rewarding in-game content. I hear you, and I agree, Z-Dog, that would be great. And I think my segment this week is it covers a little bit of the content gaps and stuff. But if we could have 4 people, you could play PvE or PvP or back-to-back do those 2 things. I would love that. Man, I can't. I'm sorry, I can't talk anymore. Sorry. Move ahead. What do you think, Yuna? I'm about to put my foot in my mouth.
Put your foot in my mouth. So honestly, here I am. I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, it looks amazing. I'm excited to see some of the new guns. I'm less enthused by some of the returning guns just because I'm a fan of new shiny things to chase rather than older things. But I do recognize that we have a lot of new players that didn't get to use these guns even last year. So,
or like our friend Justin from Dad Tales never got the Mythoclast the entire course.
Mythoclast either.
What?
No. 3 years, Day 1 Guardian, no Mythoclast.
I'm not saying that it's fantastic. It was so fun in its day.
I'm just joking. Not really telling you to shut up.
So, Mark, you kind of alluded to something which is kind of a good point, because as the schedule for Destiny came out, this is a pretty tight window between the Prestige raid dropping, and then we've got just a little over a month from now that we're going to have this DLC. And do we as players feel like we need another raid in this content? And while we're in a little bit of a lull, maybe you'd call it a little bit of a content drought. This is not the kind of content droughts that we experienced in, Destiny year 2 to year 3.
Right.
No raid from King's Fall all the way up to Wrath of the Machine kind of experience. I don't know, and maybe I'm going to get chewed out for this one. I don't know that I need a raid in this content. I don't know that that's what I feel like I need them to focus on. Now, I'd love it, right? Raiding is one of my favorite activities to do in Destiny 1, Destiny 2. Raiding is a big part of my enjoyment in this game. But if Bungie has to allocate their resources, I would much rather them focus on improving the reward system, which I think a big part of that is more guns, more armor, more weapons, more creativity in those, so that you can manipulate those loadouts for specific content, specific activities and encounters. And if that means that they have to sacrifice a raid to make those things, the things that are actually defining what's on our Guardian, better, I think that's a trade-off I would take right now.
Yeah. Here's my only problem with that is, so they said, more raid, new raid content, right? And, glaring omissions from, the raid we have right now. So we have no ships, no sparrows,
We won't get that.
just weird gear progression, so to say. I would say I don't want more Leviathan. We have the Leviathan, we have different modes in it. I would say, what concerns me, because they said that they have raid content, what concerns me is that they just have another Leviathan mode without adding anything new to it. They're just taking the same fights and switching it up again. And now that'll be 4 different modes with the same raid. And that concerns me. I would say the only thing that they could do that I don't think would be concerning if they do Leviathan stuff is completely new encounters. Like I feel like they would have to do completely new encounters. Add a new room, new bosses.
Have you heard that they're updating the Leviathan raid when this comes out? Is that news that I haven't? Okay.
No, but that's the thing is we don't know, because it doesn't say new raid. It says new raid content.
Oh, it does. I didn't know that. I did not know that.
Yeah. And everyone's like, ooh, is it a raid? Is it not a raid? Typically, if they say it's a raid, they're very specific on the vernacular with that. Yeah.
Huh.
So, yeah.
I did not know that.
So that's my major concern, yeah.
Well, they would just say new raid if it was a new raid. They wouldn't say new raid content. You're right. So that's very intriguing. I hadn't heard that bit of news yet. So that makes, okay. So I was going to say I would be very shocked if there was a raid in this expansion. Very shocked. But think about it. We're like, how long's the game been out? It's been out a month?
No, it's in September.
No, a month. Yeah. No, it'll be 3 months.
What?
That's the.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 3 months. It'll be 3 months in December. Yeah.
Where
when it comes out, and that was the same type of time frame for when Crota came out.
Okay.
So it's not.
They did come out and say that they released Crota too soon. Yeah. In hindsight, they said, well, we shouldn't have done that because it set a standard for, we probably did this too soon. Right. I could see them releasing new rooms for the raid then, but it could be what Gray says too. It could be the progression, new light level, new ways, new gear, a little bit of a different way of unlocking things. Like we've already heard them say that, for instance, the Iron Banner armor is going to have to get the ornaments, you do things with the armor on, and it kind of unlocks the ornaments. It could be like that. New raid content could be armor that you wear with that type of ornament progression on it. When
I see that new raid content, I'm thinking, we didn't see alternative weapons with the prestige mode. Right. So they could launch harrowed versions of the raid weapons. They could do, like you said, there's no exotic raid ship. There's no sparrow. So there's some different things they could tie in. I think they would be admitting that they did not deliver enough on the prestige raid armor if they retooled that. So I think they're probably going to keep that the way it is. Otherwise, they've got to eat a little crow and say that they didn't do enough. And I I don't think they did enough. I think they needed to do more to make that prestige raid content, which is very difficult, make it more rewarding. So I think that they're going to move in that direction. I would be very surprised if there's going to be a raid. I think that we're going to find out pretty quickly that that's not on the cards here. But that means that there's probably going to be something else like what we saw with House of Wolves, that some sort of a game mode or some type of new experience that we haven't had necessarily in Destiny yet, or definitely not in Destiny 2 yet.
Right.
I agree. I just hope it's a 4-player, to be honest. I would love that so much. They're saying in chat, might bring back apple pie spasm. Huh. Funny gamer tag. They might bring back VOG with different encounters, or remastered VOG, as Z-Dog said.
Yeah, that's really the only other thing I can think of as far as, well, because that wouldn't technically be a new raid, but it would be new raid content.
Hey, you're right.
So that's really the only other thing I can think of that it could possibly be.
It seems like a very odd use of resources to do that, to be honest.
It does, but I would love that so much.
Really? I'd be actually pretty salty about it. I'd be disappointed.
Yeah.
Man, what?
I'd be sitting there going, we don't have static roles, but you rebuilt from the ground up VOG. Or sorry, we don't have more weapons, more armor. We don't have more variety in our end game content, but you redid a raid. Like, I think it's not a terrible idea to redo those raids, to port them over, but I think you do that at the end of the life cycle of the game, towards the end of it.
Yeah, I don't think it makes sense from a storytelling perspective either. Like, that is what happened in Destiny 1. What's happening now is Destiny 2. It would feel very, it wouldn't feel right from a storytelling aspect.
1 step forward, 2 step back type situation.
Yeah, I don't think that would happen. I would love it, though. I got to be honest, because I don't give a crap about lore. Like, it would be so amazing just to, like, go with the way our Guardians are now, go into the Vault of Glass, like, especially if it's remastered enough to feel different and everything. I would love that, but yeah, I don't think that's going to happen either. But I am super excited for this expansion and this teaser trailer here. I'm looking, I do, I'm wishing for 4 players, but they constantly are showing 3 Guardians on the screen. 1 a lot of times, but when you do see a fire team, it's still 3. So I'm not hold my breath for that. But is there anything else that we've heard the suggestion meaningful in-game content? Is there any other quality of life things that they addressed some of that in the TWAB this past week, but as far as like that, too much tokens and that kind of stuff, is there anything else that would be that you think would really bring some of the player base back and make less salt?
I would say, the hunt for a random exotic drop, raid specific gun. For sure.
They do that, the Acreos thing, Legend of Acreos. But you're saying one that drops
as a drop
off of the boss.
As a drop, yeah. So you have a reason to go in and play it over and over again.
Yeah. True.
I gotta say though, I am surprised that it is coming out so soon. I thought for sure we were going to be looking for this in January, and I actually was okay with that. December, I think it's a lot sooner than I was expecting, to be totally honest with you guys.
Do you think they've adjusted their timeline based on the feedback of the community?
Not likely. It was probably that plan all the time, because as far as DLC content goes, and their when you're thinking about their contract with Activision and everything, and the release schedule and making sure everything's promotional materials are set, that stuff's usually planned pretty far in advance. So I don't think that was it.
Yeah, and there's some pretty tight timelines in terms of submitting your content to like the PlayStation Store, the Microsoft Store, to get it approved and loaded. So I think that this was in the cards for a long time. I think that what gives me hope here, and this is where the fanboy me is coming out, right? Destiny 2 came out to appeal to a very broad audience. It was built, we say this, for the casual player, to sell the game initially and get people enjoying this content. And I hope that they met that goal, because the sacrifice there was the end game, the hardcore player, the person who's expecting to put thousands of hours into this game and still enjoy it over and over and over again. And that's where I think that there's been the most conversation, the most drop off. Well, now they have these DLCs, which granted, yeah, that's going to maybe bring some new players under the Destiny 2 umbrella, but more than anything, it's to engage those who are existing in this environment. And now they've got this DLC is going to be their first step in that direction of satisfying the more dedicated player base. I'm curious to see what they do with it. How will they listen to the feedback? And more than anything, we talked about how much we hate the RNG from Destiny 1. And now all that I'm really feeling is like, I want some randomness in the things that I get, know? I don't want to dismantle. What's that?
Go ahead. Sorry, there's 2 suggestions in chat that both involve that. Like, give me things that are harder to get. That's Strike specifically was one of them from Al
yes.
And then low drop rate low drop rate item like the Nano Phoenix. I remember the ship in Wrath. Yeah.
I've had the opposite problem of you and Yuna, where the really strong weapons in the game right now, the things like the Raid rocket launcher, the Raid sword, the Curtain Call, that cluster bomb rocket, which was the only cluster bomb rocket you could get before the Raid rocket came out, before the Raid was launched. Better Devils, which is an excellent hand cannon in PvE content. These things drop for me at least 6 out of every 10 packages, and I'm dismantling them like crazy.
I get those things. I just don't get my Orpheus rig.
There's a specific exotic that I just don't get. I get repeats of a lot of other things, but I don't get that one. I want to say before we go too much farther, Pig Slayer has a very good point. I was saying maybe the raid we would never go back and revisit old raids, but he says the Vex can time travel, and it's quite clear will be time traveling, and I think that's a good point. They can make. That's what I like about Destiny. Like, it's part magic, part sci-fi. They can literally make anything happen. And make it work lore-wise because of that mix. The story, just the world that it's in, makes you feel like anything could happen, which makes it where they could reuse a lot of things like that. But people do get salty about reuse of assets for some reason. Like, well, even great. Like, I respect what your opinion is. Like,
well, mine is
let's move forward.
I don't like the choice, right? Like, do it at some point. That's fine. I'll play it. I'll enjoy it. But there's other things that I want them to work on. I need them to fix their website. I need them to fix the clan page on the website because all the short codes broke when they rolled out the new version. So it's kind of those kind of things. It's like, well, if you dedicated time, money, and resources into this, there's a lot of other things that are still wonky that need to be fixed. And this platform was supposed to be more flexible to fix the things as they pop up.
Yes.
Well, I mean, as far as the website goes, I mean, that would just be a completely different team, though. So, not much to do there. Oh, yeah. That's like a completely different team. No one working on the game is going to be working on the website, doing coding on the site.
What do you mean? I'm sorry, I don't get the connection.
Well, it's a tangent. I'm not sure that we want to necessarily have a big discussion on the podcast about it, but I think that there's things even in the game that they took a step back, existed in Destiny 1, that the community's been saying, why don't we have these in Destiny 2? This was a good thing in Destiny 1. Those are some of the things that I would rather have the development team working on than bringing an old raid into Destiny 2.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. Yeah, and there's different teams for all the stuff too. We've talked about that before too. That there's a live team that that made the Wrath raid for Destiny 1. And they made all the events and things like that. And we haven't seen what their raid for Destiny 2 looks like yet. It could be incredible. There's everybody's chasing specific exotics right now. But it's funny. Like you said, Gray. Like, oh well. In Destiny 1, we complained about the RNG. We get into Destiny 2. Most things we get to easily. Everyone's done. I have nothing to do. But then, we're also complaining we don't have Orpheus rig. So it's like, oh, man, like, can we have our cake and eat it too and then lose the cake and get the cake again? Really rare cake that really it's hard to get, but then we get it and we're happy. But then, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just this circular problem.
What are you, Marie Antoinette, wanting the cake?
That's right. It's like off with my head, I guess. It's like, what do you do? Like, either the loot is too hard to get and everyone's frustrated. I think honestly, the problem with Destiny with year one of Destiny and early Destiny content was not that the loot was hard to get. That it was that there was specific loot that if you did not get, the game was really hard. Right? So like you couldn't get to level 30. You couldn't get to level, what was it 20? Yeah, it was 30 to get to for Vault, right? You couldn't get there. You couldn't get the helmet to drop, right? Or you can't get into raids because you couldn't get the Gallarhorn to drop, and then no one wants you on their LFG team, or whatever. There was these specific things. So the Bungie company is great at listening to feedback, and I think they listened to feedback, and over the course of the lifespan of Destiny 1, they stopped linking key exotics to random drops because it actually messed with the community too bad. So they've learned from that and they moved on. But I feel like maybe a dip in the other direction where there are a few things that aren't necessary. You don't need it. It's not the Gallarhorn. It's not the Wardcliff coil, or it's not some exotic, thing that makes the game much easier, but it is something either cosmetic or just, okay, think about the how hard it was to get the Crota exotic that was specific to it, the Necrochasm. Do you remember this? So hard to get it. When you got it, it was fun as heck to use. It was so fun. It's always been fun. It's always been one of my favorites. I loved it. Even pre-buff, I loved it when you had to get a headshot to make things explode. So much fun. But was it considered to be, get this and the game's going to be easier, or you're going to get more LFG action? No. But that was done just right. I mean, the quest and the saga you had to go through to get it, I think it was the precursor to the way that exotics are distributed now. But I really like that. I think they could dip back into that, and that's not from a. I'm not a game designer, so this could be totally a wrong sentence, but that's not too far from what could become a reality. Like, would it be so hard to program in someone suggested strike-specific loot? Would it be so hard to put that in there after the fact? They did it before. Maybe it would be, so.
I really hope strike-specific loot comes back.
Yeah.
So much.
Me too.
That'll give people... I have no reason to go run strikes. I don't want to run strikes. I want to run strikes.
Yeah. I want to run strikes.
I do.
I do want to.
I do.
I love them. And this is why I haven't got the origin story yet, and I don't want to start another character to get it. I want Zavala to give it to me. Oh, God, phrasing.
You do.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, man, I can't unsay that, can I?
And it's recorded for all eternity.
Whew.
That seems like a good segue right to you, Mark Square, for your segment of the show.
Let's move on to
Destiny
Squared.
Moving on. Destiny Squared. Okay, so what I would like to do right now is give you guys a few tips. I've been playing Destiny. I'm not qualified to give tips on how to win in PvP. I'm not qualified to give tips on how to, maximize your raid loadout or anything like that. But what I am qualified to give tips on is how to enjoy a content drought in Destiny. I've been doing it. I enjoy content drought more than I enjoy not content drought, right? I just I love it because you know who's left? It's people that love the game, or it's people who have been doing the game at a pace where they're not bored, right? So I just
Oh, why is this playing?
you.
Sorry, I'm not sure why that was playing. It's like the video that I was loading earlier finally loaded on my phone at the most inopportune time. I apologize for that.
I'm Yuna. I watch videos of myself.
No! That was the one for Justin that just finally finished coding. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's
it
okay.
popped up on my phone.
Totally okay. Yeah, we ran some content with Justin from Dad Tells, and he just got smashed by a Cabal ball in such an extraordinary fashion. And Yuna had a perfect. It'll be on a future segment for sure. Yes. And then I'm sure he'll be talking about it on Dad Tells as well. No, it's totally fine. So anyway, I do enjoy a content drought. So here's some things that you can do, and a lot of it, it's like, everybody knows, how to have fun while playing a game, right? But this is some stuff that you can do within the game. And I'm just going to run down through a list. I just wrote some stuff down earlier today. And this is examples of things that I've done in the past and still do pretty regular to stay interested in a game that is suffering from a content drought. Now, Destiny 1 had significant content droughts. I mean, between Crota and the next release of content was immense. And then even House of Wolves to the next time there was a raid was considered by a lot to be the worst content drought there was because, for one, there was no current level raid available. So your 6-player content was going to have to be regular Crucible at the time. Anyway, for communities, that was a very tough time as far as content. So here we go. So if you're going to stay in the game of Destiny, and there's no shame in playing something else. That's something I'll cover later. Try this. Organize gameplay events, right? Just text your buddy. Be like, hey, look, Thursday night, 5 o'clock, we should X, Y, or Z. Have a PvP night, right? Might be, if you got 4, you might want to do a PvP night. You can do challenges, some kind of like, hey, we're going to go into PvP. We're only going to use sidearms. We'll just see what happens. Let's troll each other with, the results. Let's have a good time. Let's see. Oh, this is a good one. We used to do this quite a bit in Destiny 1. We would go to Xur, right? And we would buy whatever he was selling. If I was a hunter, I bought the hunter exotic, then I would pick up whatever weapon he was selling. And we would, as a fire team, we would do that. Like somebody was a warlock, they'd get the warlock piece and the gun. We don't level them up. We go straight into the Nightfall or whatever, strikes or whatever, and we just use what Xur had for sale. So if if you're a hunter and you pick up the Nighthawk from him that week, you would want to put that on, use your gunslinger class, use that ability as much as you could, however it works or however that piece of exotic gear is meant to perform. Try to do that as much as possible. Make that your strategy, make it your load out in your build for whatever the content is, and just see if you like it. It might be outside your comfort zone, but it's different. At least it's different content. You could have like a story or adventure night, with your friends, get together and, hey, let's knock out all the adventures. We need to do that. The 3 of us. Yes. We need tons of adventures we haven't done yet.
I need to go on an adventure.
Yeah, and then exactly. It's adventure time in the Destiny community. Okay, so here we go. Change your outfit. This is what I've been doing. I switched over to fall colors recently with my Guardian. I've used all my glimmer and, putting on different shaders. I've tried to mix it up between just not one all the way across the board. I've been trying to use complementary shaders that really give me a good fall look. I don't like orange, so that really is kind of tough. Anyway, sorry. Tangent. Okay, level a new character. Tangerines. Yep, that's the shader. Use a different subclass than you normally use on types of content that you wouldn't. Only play when your fire team is online. That's a good one. Like that's what we've been doing lately. We schedule things to do. Mm-hmm. We hop online. We do those things. Sometimes maybe hop on a half hour early to play a little bit solo. But for the most part, just play when your fire team is online and when you've scheduled something to do. That brings me to the most important thing, I think. Get a fire team, right? Get a few people together that have a similar schedule to you or just that like to play the game the way that you like to play it. I think we've harped on this quite a bit, even in this episode, but previously on Grenades and Horseshoes. Find some people to play with that you really like to play with. And, content drought's a good time to do that. Figure out who you like to play with the most. Kind of just start organizing events where the 3 of you get together and play games. And that's another thing. A lot of people feel like guilty, like they're cheating on Destiny, right? But I think what people are actually feeling is I feel guilty about not playing with my friends that I've been playing Destiny with, right? So why not find a group of people that you do like to play with and play, find another game that the 3 of you can play together. You can, there's nothing that says you can't go play some other games with people that you play Destiny with. I think someone brought up Warframe in the chat earlier. That's true. Yeah. You can play different games. There's no, Bungie's not going to like crack down on you or be mad at you or anything like that. And really, if you take your fire team with you, that's just another adventure for you and your closest friends to go on. So anyway, that you guys have any thoughts on all the stuff I said or any other ideas for how to handle a content drought without becoming unhappy about it?
Well, I think as far as for me personally, I think I'm in a different position than a lot of the hardcore people in the game, because I do consider myself super hardcore. I mean, I think if you're do any type of like Destiny content, you're a hardcore Destiny player. But I definitely haven't played as much as some other people, even some people that are in our clan. I'm still in a position where I have tons of stuff to do. I have tons of stuff to do. I don't have a single 305. And it's not because, I don't like playing, or it's just because I'm an adult. Like
life happens.
Life happens. And, it's been very busy, with my daughter and stuff. So like, as far as, finding things to do, for me, it's actually rather easy. I could get right on to the game right now and be like, I haven't done this, and this. For the overall game, never mind just for my weekly stuff. But I do definitely understand that there's some people that, can bang that out, on one day off, and they're like, oh, well, I want to play it for the rest of the rest of the week. So I do definitely understand that they're kind of in a cinch right there, so they're trying to find something extra to do. I mean, and all of those were really great ideas. At the end of, Destiny 1, where we were like, ooh, what are we going to do this week? We've done this 8 million times. We did go back and we did a whole bunch of challenges. And those were incredibly fun. And I think a lot of people, they don't kind of think up their own stuff. Because, they expect, oh, well, this is the game. This is the prescribed ways on how to play this game. And you really just have to think out of the box on that. But yeah, I mean, as far as, playing another game, there are so many games coming out. Like, don't feel guilty, because the game's not going anywhere. And when new stuff comes out, you're just going to want to come back refreshed. I've seen too many people get burned out, not because they hate the game, but because they love the game too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a sentence that someone said somewhere about something that goes, I'm not good at context. Learn to rest, not to quit. Right? So don't learn to quit. Don't do it until you need to quit. Learn to rest. And I think that applies to a lot of things, but really does apply to the Destiny community, because we love the game. Like, we want to just constantly play this game. Someone in chat's bringing out, I think, let's see what his name is. Sorry, I'm not wearing my glasses, so I can't see. Anyway, here he is. Lewis. Lewis Rocks. He's bringing out, he goes back and plays D1. That's something, totally.
Yep.
Totally, I would.
I mean, I still have that totally, downloaded on all my stuff. I didn't delete it. I know people deleted it, and I'm like, why would you delete that? You spent so much time on it. Do you really think you're never going to want to pick that up again?
Right.
And the answer is, of course they're going to want to. I mean, even if you think back to people that were hardcore Halo players, they didn't get, sell off their old Halo discs when the new Halo came out. They played that one and they're like, man, I really wish I could play this specific part of this Halo. And then you just load it up and play it. Same thing for Final Fantasies. There's a reason why they come out with remakes, because people, if it's good content, it's good content, no matter what else is out there.
Absolutely.
So it's not like D2 replaced D1 and D1 is gone. It's not gone. It's still there.
Yeah, you can still play it. And a lot of people are. And in fact, the player base over there is, now more than ever, if you're willing to go back and kind of help people learn the ropes. Some people, you go to watch a show, you don't skip to episode or season 2. You go back to season 1. So some people are hearing about Destiny 2 now, and in their mind it makes sense, and this does make sense, to go experience Destiny 1. And then when you get to Destiny 2, when Borderlands 2 came out, that's when I found out about or got interested in Borderlands, right? So we're like, oh, hey, let's play Borderlands 1 first and see what happens, and then we'll skip on over to 2. Right. That makes sense, right? So there's a lot of people there that are learning about Destiny in Destiny 1 right now, that could use some experienced players to come back and kind of show them the ropes.
I don't know that I wouldn't use the term a lot. Signed in the other day, and it's a bit of a ghost town, right? Servers are not full, so I wouldn't necessarily think that you're going to find, if you load into the tower, the Destiny 1 tower. that you're gonna find some low-level guardians that you want to run with and Sherpa through. If you want to do that, you're gonna have to go through the LFG channels, something like that, because because of just the nature of how big the ocean is and how few are swimming in it right now. It's not gonna feel like there's a lot of people there.
I'm basing this on Nicoleon's experience. She went back to Destiny 1, has been playing over there, and that's exactly what happened to her. She's helped 2 or 3 people that she's met in the tower.
Wow.
Because they'll look at, a new player will look at someone who's, ornamented up in Crota gear, right? And your fingernails are glowing, and you got spikes sticking off of you, just radiating. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you look awesome.
I know, and they're like, what? So it attracts their attention, and then they'll actually, invite you to their fire team is what happens. So that's what she's been doing. She's been going back and experiencing it that way. Yeah. So, it does seem kind of odd, but it does, that's it. That's been her experience, is that the look of her guardian has attracted people to her that want to know, how did you get that? Like, could you help me with my story missions? Like, tell me what's going on here. I've just bought this game. I think it's easy for us to forget that, we're saturated with Destiny information, and we go on Twitter, we'll watch YouTube videos. We talk about it all the time in the fire team. We know all this information, but that's not, like your average, gamer has just finished playing BioShock or whatever. They've come over from Elder Scrolls Online to try it out, and it's like, well, they don't know. They've been immersed in these other games that they've been working their way through, and they get here and they have questions, So, but also, I'm not saying that that's not happening in Destiny 2. It is. Like, there are new players that have just come straight to Destiny 2 as well. Anyway, point of that whole tirade was there are always things to do in the Destiny game or in the Destiny community or with the people you met in Destiny, and then you go and play Overwatch, or you go and play, Warframe, or
Diablo. I never finished that.
No, I'm like a level -6 or something over there. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, one thing that's a little bit odd, I'm a big fan of challenges, and so you bringing up, put a spin on an activity in the game to make it enjoyable again. One of the things, though, for the challenges to work, and when I look back at what we used to do in Destiny 1, where we would do a Nightfall with sidearms only, or we would do, the raid, and we would hamstring ourselves that you could only use primary weapons, something like that.
Yep.
I'm having a hard time seeing that as fun in Destiny 2 for a couple reasons. Number one, I don't know that we are as proficient in the content as we were in Destiny 1, right? We don't load into a Nightfall and know that we can cakewalk our way through it. Like, it is, it's a struggle, and that's something we asked for. That's not a criticism of Bungie. Like, I like the fact that each Nightfall, this is something that we're gonna have to work at. The raid, especially. There's so many aspects to this raid that if one person makes a mistake, it's going to cause a wipe for your team, or it has a high likelihood of causing a wipe. That makes it extremely difficult for it to be challenge friendly. To say, okay, we're going to put an added pressure on ourselves and go through this for fun. We're, maybe we'll get there. Maybe when the light level increases up to 325 now that we're going up to, we're going to be at a point where we can go in there with some weapons and dominate because we're at a higher light level. But right now, I don't know that I view that as a good solution because of the way that the game is structured. Now it's still more of, I need to get proficient at the content so I can pull off that Prestige Nightfall consistently. When it's one of the harder strikes and the modifiers aren't as forgiving as what they were last week, then Well, and I think it's a skill level thing too, right? I think there are people that are just breezing through the raid. They're breezing through the Nightfall. They're max light. They just have thumbs like lightning. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying. But that's, some raids blend themselves, some don't. Yeah, and we were very much more that category of player in Destiny 1, right? We did all of the Age of Triumph hard mode challenges, and granted, we didn't breeze through it when they first launched, but we got to the point where, it wasn't difficult for us to complete that content. And there was room there to keep it interesting by saying, all right, let's see if we can do this with only sidearms or something like that.
Right.
And that's where I think we're still on that path, I think, in Destiny 2 to making that a viable option. The flip side, though, there are some really excellent games. And for me, I try to get away from anything that's like Destiny to get that rest from the game.
Right.
So
that's what disqualifies Warframe for me.
Yep,
It's too
Warframe's
close.
a little bit
Too
too
close.
close.
Yeah.
Even some of the games that are really heavy on loot in general, like a Diablo. Even though, right, the interface is completely different, the mechanics are different, it is very much a character progression loot type of game. So right now I'm loving Super Mario Odyssey. I mean, there's no
Just got it. Need to
no
play it.
character progression. I'm not trying to build up to a certain light level, power level, be able to do certain things. It's just linear, fun mechanics, interesting story, fun gameplay, and it's a great break from the kind of game that incentivizes you to, an RPG. It's not an RPG. So anything outside of that genre
Right.
allows me to rest and recover and go back into Destiny and appreciate it that much more.
Someone in chat mentioned Divinity Original Sin, and it's funny. I took a photo of that review and I sent it over to Yuna and Gray today because I've heard a lot. The original one, I was looking for a turn-based RPG that was co-op, right? And that really narrows things down quite a bit. But that was what came up. And the first one, apparently the second one got like a 9.75 in Game Informer review. It's a PC game.
Isn't that fairly new too?
It's not brand new, but I mean like, a month old or something like that, just long enough there was a new Game Informer magazine. So I mean that I'm with you though, Gray. It needs to have enough, it needs to be different enough. Like the problem I have with shooters is I want every button to be the exact same, right? And I couldn't get Warframe to be exactly every button the same. With their way that you could switch their buttons around in Warframe. Even though you could do a lot, you couldn't do everything. So I want the controls on every first-person shooter to be I want the jump to be the same, the crouch, the slide, everything has to be identical because I want to forget that I'm holding a controller. So, and Destiny does such a great job of Bungie does such a great job of making Destiny feel so fluid, and you get the controllers in your hand. I don't want to do anything to tamper with that. So, but Mario Odyssey, I don't think actually has an online co-op component to it. But I did get it, and I unwrapped the box. I'm gonna try it very soon, for sure. So, yeah.
I was thinking about getting that for Layla for Christmas.
Mario. I assume.
Yeah, Mario. Yep.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the Switch is an amazing console. Like I really like it. The fact that you can play that full featured of a Zelda game on the go is amazing to me. It's just really, really well done. And I want to try Snipper Clips so bad, but I've been buying the actual cartridges, the Switch, the bad tasting Nintendo Switch cartridges.
Oh my God, why are people licking those? Did you lick it?
Not yet, but I'm gonna.
Phrasing.
I thought you were gonna say do it now. Go get it.
No.
I'll
Wow.
lick the doorknob on the Dad Tells podcast. I'll lick a Nintendo Switch
Yeah.
card in a
You
heartbeat.
definitely lick the doorknob. Rather than sweating French onion soup.
Yeah, that's right. It's a no-brainer. No-brainer. Oh man. Well, that's I appreciate you guys tuning in this week for Grenades and Horseshoes EP 14. You got anything else to add, guys? It's been a great show.
Go ahead, Yuna.
No, go.
Okay, the only thing that I want to add is that, we really appreciate the audience here at Planet Destiny and the support that they've given us, helping us get our show kind of off the ground. This was the brainchild of Mark in a lot of ways, trying to bring something new that hadn't been done in the Destiny community. There's lots of podcasts, and all of our time is limited. Some really great shows. We listen to a ton of them, and we wanted to have ours have a little bit more variety, have these segments showcase different artists, different things that are going on in the community, different things that are in the game in a way that is visually engaging and enjoyable for those that are watching, as well as now that we've moved to an iTunes audio only version as well. It's an addition to the video. It's still fun to listen to. So as our show evolves, we adapt and we change. And so thank you to Planet Destiny. We're going to be moving over to the Grenades and Horseshoes Twitch channel. So Mark and I are going to spend the weekend, I'm sure, building all the artwork and different coding for that Twitch channel. So give us a follow over there if you'd like to, if you've enjoyed watching us. But we'll be back here next Wednesday at 9 p.m. It'll just be at twitch.tv/grenades and horseshoes. And we'd love to see you there. It's going to be the same show, same content. And then feel free to, check out our show on iTunes if you want to listen to it while you're driving or something. And then our YouTube channel. So thank you guys.
Yep. And if anyone, ever has any feedback or any ideas or segments or anything that, feel that, we really should be featuring that you think people are going to be finding really interesting, or even if you just find it interesting and we can feel that out, go ahead and send us an email to GandHFeedback@gmail.com. That's right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Go ahead and email that. I mean, we check it all the time. We would love to hear, some crowdsourcing ideas, and, we do this thing for the community. So we want to be able to, come up with stuff that the community also wants to hear about and see.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. And you can check us out on Twitter at GandH Show, and at @MarkSquare_, at Unilala, YUNIELALA, at Grey Ghost 2E. And so just come by and hang out on Twitter with us, and hopefully make the switch over to the Grenades and Horseshoes Twitch channel as well. And we'll be, trying to stream some stuff and host some people that are our content creators and are doing good, positive things in the community on that channel. Going to really try to support people who are doing charity streams. We love the Destiny community, and that is why we do the show. So other positive people within the Destiny community, that's who we're looking to entertain and spotlight with this show. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. And thank you, Z-Dog, in the chat. Thanks for the show. Helps to fill the content drought. It really does. So we'll get together and talk weird ways to play Destiny. Maybe I'll come up with one every week. That Xur idea really, really did. We did a lot of streams based on that in Destiny 1. Let's just go shopping at Xur and use whatever he has. Like, we don't have a choice. It's randomized. So
it's just because you like shopping.
I just love shopping. For those of you, well, probably not. There was a fashion emergency today. Chanel's prices are increasing on November the 15th. If you are looking to buy a Chanel handbag, do it before the 15th. If you can, in fact, get the one that you want. I'm sorry, guys. This has been a saga tonight. Fashion emergency. Oh my God. All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And episode 14 of Grenades and Horseshoes was a success. I had a great time. Yes. And Curse of Osiris comes out December the 15th. So not very long,
5th.
guys.
No, December the 5th.
December the 5th.
Yeah.
December the 5th. Yeah, that was misinformation. So, I mean, what are we? We're on the 1st. It's like
we're
1 month.
just a little bit over a month.
1 month. Yeah, we can make it a month. Yeah. So we've got 4 episodes, and then it'll be out. So we look forward to it. Hanging out with you guys.
Yep.
All right. And every week, just like normal, Jelly, take us out. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. If you can't catch the live show, then you can find the replays on the Grenades and Horseshoes YouTube channel. If you'd like to stay connected to the community during the week, you can reach us at our show Twitter handle, @GandHShow, or at our individual handles, @MarkSquare_, @GreyGhost2E, and @Unilala. We're also open to any ideas you may have or seeing any clips that you would like to send in. Please send the feedback to GandHFeedback@gmail.com. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.